This is Larry Casso. I want to welcome you once again to my studio. We're about to do some preliminary work on our four-color watercolor, and this is in our third series of lessons here where we do the two-color, three-color, four-color. I have a children's class in the background you might hear. It's quite talented young artist out there. This is an actual picture of the painting, and there will be some peculiarities about this one that I might mention to you before we get started. And I also might mention that when I did the two-color, the three-color, and the four-color, I planned special things in each of the paintings that would cause us to have to use certain techniques. And each one of them I've used different things that will be able to be used by you later on. And so this one is going to be quite different in the sense that we've done the sky first and proceeded like that. We're going to do the sky last this time. We've got some material in here that we're going to use. It's called Misket or masking fluid, whatever you'd like to call it. I happen to use a Winsor Newton masking fluid that I like very much, and it has white or colorless or light yellow color in it. I prefer the color where you can tell where you put it down. But anyhow, we're going to execute this painting a little bit differently than the ones you've watched before. You have enough experience now where I think that I only need to demonstrate one area of a given section. For instance, all of this foliage back here is going to be the same. Okay, so whatever I do here, I'm going to do here. So I'm only going to do one little small area here, and then the rest of it, you can realize, look at this, or turn this back and see it's simply laying in lights, middle, and dark. Same way with our water. I'm going to lay in only one portion over here. I'm going to do one portion of this whole area, and you're going to see that all of it is going to be identical. So it'll still give you the same benefit of the video, but not waste as much time actually having to review the video and reviewing the same material that you've already done. So having said that, let's go ahead and get started. First thing we're going to do is we're going to raise our screen up a little bit here, and let's get the full picture in. Now, this is a painting that is going to do it's going to be about a third smaller than the one you're actually working on. It doesn't really matter. And this is the material that we call Misket. I'll hold this up a little bit. It's Winsor Newton. The product is called Art Masking Fluid. Now, people are paranoid about using Misket. I've never seen anything like it. I teach my students how to use it correctly, which simply means that you always want to keep your brush extremely wet, as I'm going to demonstrate to you, while you're doing this. Now, if you forget to keep it wet and you keep using it, it's going to dry up and probably ruin your brush. I only had to experience it one time, and I never did it again. So you have to keep the brush very moist. I've seen people use matchsticks, pencils, just ends of pencils. I've seen them use every imaginable thing. Even there's a pen out now that's supposed to be able to do it with, which I think is a waste of time, because you want to actually paint this on. Remember, you're going to be painting this like you're painting it in reverse, okay? And when this liquid goes on there, it's going to be an actual masking tape that you're going to put on here, but it's going to be in a liquid form, and then when it dries, of course, it dries in such a way that it will repel the color, and then later on when we pick it up, it will the area that you paint it with will remain white. So we'll cover this in a little bit more detail for you later. Okay, now let's begin with our Misket here. And again, as we do this, I'm not worried about perfection, okay? But I do want my lines to be related to what I'm doing. Let's see if we get this in a little bit closer now for this second. I want the lines to relate in the sense that, I don't know if you can see this on the screen or not, but I think you can. In a sense, see, I wet the brush. I just waited a minute, so I wet it again, and I'm putting fresh Misket in. Okay, now this is going to come up. You want it to stay. In other words, if this stuff is like, this is called rhizograss or rhizogras, whatever you want to call it. And if you want to go in and actually do this, have a little Russian princess in here. We don't want to keep her waiting.
No, we don't.
Right. Okay. So we're going to bring this out later. A student is waiting on the biscuit. You can watch this if you'd like to do that here. Are you all excited about doing your big watercolor? Okay. You remember when you did this one?
Yeah.
How old are you now?
7.
7 years old, and you've already done the whole course. She is started when she was not quite 7. She was about 6.5. I did that with her cousin also because of the fact that they would not be here very long, but that she stayed and is now in the new school that you're going to. Are you still learning all those languages?
Yeah.
How many languages can you speak now?
I can speak
4 languages, and what are they?
French,
They're what now?
French, Spanish, Russian, and French, Spanish, Russian,
And English. So, and you're not learning Chinese anymore?
no, but I'm going to a Chinese school.
Well, it sounds like they're still doing a good job at that new school teaching you all those languages, huh?
But they're not teaching us Spanish, because every class, one class is first grade French, and the other class is first grade Spanish. I'm first grade French.
First grade.
So we don't get Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
But Mom said that you can find me like somewhere where I can go. Like not
Go ahead
every.
in. You can go in.
Oh, she's right there.
Okay, good. Oh, so you're learning four languages now then, huh?
Yeah.
Very good.
What are you doing?
Well, now you see the stuff that I'm putting on here. What it does is when you cover the painting with it, this will dry, and then when it dries, you won't have to. It's like putting masking tape. You know how when you put masking tape on it and you can cover the masking tape?
I know what it is.
You know what I mean? You've seen the other kids use it, huh?
Yeah, and
Okay.
I had it already.
The what?
I already had this.
You already know how to. You didn't use this before,
Yeah.
but you know how to use it, huh?
Huh?
You do know how to use it.
This?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I
You never had used this before, okay?
Yeah, because Miss Shane never let me do it.
Yeah, well,
Is
you
it
never.
like-
Well, you never got to this point. See, this.
When am I going to get
Oh, that's right. You didn't. You did. Miss Janet helped you do this because the younger children. Now you do a good job with the whole program, but when you're just 7 years old, you know, there's a lot of things that we have to do for you. But you've done everything yourself and painted everything and mixed all the colors. So we're just delighted.
So when am I going to get to learn how to do that?
In just a minute.
Am I going to get you to do it?
Well, Miss Janet might let you do a little bit of it, but you have to be very careful with this or you'll ruin your brush. So you're going to learn to do it by watching Miss Janet probably here.
Why can I not?
Because it ruins your brush if you make a mistake, okay? And we don't want it, well, it just,
But
just
can I be like a mistake?
mhm.
Like this go out the lines or something?
Well, you might forget to clean your brush or you go out the lines or something, so. We just found that it's better to help you on this one. Now you see,
If you go out the lines, you'll ruin your brush.
okay.
Then you ruin your picture of your brush. Your brush, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Why? If you mess it.
If you let it dry. Well, I'll have to explain it to you some other time. Let's get through with this. we can finish it for Miss Janet to use it, okay? And we can use it with you on yours. Now, I know I'm doing just the top part of this boat here, because everything else can be broken down. Go like this. And then right behind the boat, there's a lot of grass like this. Now you see when we put this, when you put this on here like this and peel it up, all of it will surface again, and you'll have white areas there.
Are you making a new one?
Mr. Larry's making a movie of it, just to show the steps on how to do it. Like I said, we've got to remember to clean this now. And see, I put all the grass in down here that I want to put in. Now we're going to come across the bottom, and there's a lot of little small pieces of grass like this that we want to put in. So we're going to just do all of this at one time. See, and then I did a pretty long stretch there and cleaned my brush again. And like this.
She never cleans like this at home.
How's that?
She never cleans at home like this.
Isn't that precious, man? I tell you what. It's funny when they're motivated, huh?
Yeah.
Listen, how's your dad doing? Remember you told me a while ago?
Nothing's changed. I think it's grown a millimeter, so that's all we're doing is just watching it still.
You remember I told you that problem I had?
Yes.
And, okay, now, as anybody is familiar with this, we just have a regular family here. Young lady I was just speaking with, her husband studied with me and his brother about 20 years ago, and then I taught their older daughter when they moved back here. And so it's just wonderful, and we share a lot of things, mostly art, and with these little children are just amazing what they're capable of doing. Now I'm kind of moving all over here. Let's go ahead. I'm gonna open this up just a little bit more. Okay, now we've got it to this point, and I pretty well have all the grass covered. Now, what I did is I covered it up for you, pretty much where you could see. Now, if I need to add more grass in different areas like this, I'll add it. Okay, but that's pretty well all I need to cover for what we're going to do. So you can see by the picture here, if I can get a little bit of this in here. If you see this area of the picture, I did all the foliage here. I did this. Okay, you can take this to Miss Janet now. I did all the foliage along the top of the boat. And I did the top of the boat here, and I did the grass down here, and some foliage areas that we have over here that are a little bit lighter, a little bit of foliage areas over here. And so that's pretty well all I had to do on that. And now we're going to be ready to go ahead and start doing the watercolor. Okay, we're going to resume our painting now, as some of the children are getting picked up, various interruptions, but I think you should have everything prepared. All of this should be completely dry. Now we're going to take one section at a time. This section we're going to begin with right here is right here in this area here. Okay, now I normally extend it from here to here. I'm going to go a little further over and just do this one section, and then you can finish the rest of it, just to get it behind this misket, so later when I pick the misket up, you can see how I remove it and add the color and this type of thing. But to begin with, I'm going to continue my practice that I started a while back with my colors, and that is trying to show a portion of the color and the color mixing. A lot of students requested that I do this, especially in the beginning. So we're using 4 colors. We've actually got Hooker's green, vermilion, and our cobalt blue, our cadmium red light, and we're using ultramarine blue, also cobalt we could use, and then raw sienna. So we have 4 major colors: the green, the red, the blue, and the raw sienna. Now we're going to take, our first step is going to be the area that you see. Let's see how much of this is on the screen. It's going to be this area right here. Now we're not ever worried about how the color comes out looking, okay? We're going to take raw sienna. We want the value to be right. So we're going to take raw sienna, tiny bit of green. How you doing, man? And let's go ahead and put all these colors down here. We're going to put our lighter tone on, and actually it's going to be the. I take it back. Forget the raw sienna. Doesn't hurt it. We're going to take the green and a little bit of the red to gray it down. A little bit of the blue. Bye bye. See y'all next week. Okay, kids. Good. We're going to do the blue and the red. And I always keep a little scrap piece of paper to try my colors. That looks like that's going to be good enough for me. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take the flat part of the brush. Now, see, I don't have to worry about this going over this net here that's hanging up, because I'm actually. Now, notice how I'm just taking that flat side of the brush. If you feel comfortable doing that, and then we're going to just come straight across here like this. Okay, and then let's get a little bit more pigment. Now you notice I'm starting off in the trees first, and I'm just painting the background in on a dry piece of paper. Now notice I turn that brush sideways, and I'll just kind of start leaving those holes for the birds to fly through. Now, after I get the first part in, okay, then I'm going to take a little bit of my blue and my red and my green. I'm going to go just a tiny bit darker. So we're going to go the second tone in here. Now this is all still wet, so I'm going to start at the bottom, and I'm going to just do a little bit of it like this, and kind of work this into the, okay, I think let's come in a little closer with this now. You've seen how we do the colors, so we're going to get a little bit better shot of this. Okay. Now we've got the blue and the red and the green coming on up like this. And then you notice while it's wet, see, that's why I'm just doing one small section at a time, because I want this to be able to flow and dry while it's still wet. Then I'm going to take the green very opaquely this time, the blue and the red. I'm going to use very little water with it. Now you might lose a little bit of your pear, but we'll find it later. Put a little bit more of the blue in it. Then I'm going to come along the bottom, and I want this to be really dark. Now if you'll notice in some of the other demonstrations I've done with you, this is the way that we've done this. Always use the lighter, then the middle tone, then the dark. Now I think that's going to be sufficient for what I want on there. It's not showing up real good on the screen, but there's always a little glare on it, particularly with that color, but I think it'll look better on the television. Okay, now that finishes that first section, you see. Now, as I mentioned, I'm going to go back to my blue, red, and green very lightly, and I'm going to do the second section. Now, as I get over here, I might start mixing a little raw sienna with it, because I'm going to start getting a little lighter. So I mixed raw sienna as I went down in, and let's just come up to this point right here. And this is going to be considerably lighter. Now, you see by stopping like I did, and allowing this to this portion here go into the next one, I was able to get all of this while it was still wet. Then I'm going to take the blue, red, and green a little bit darker in the bottom here, see, like this, and then take that blue, red, and green almost solid again, and we're going to do that last part on the bottom just like we did the other. Now But what will happen, if you can see it on the picture, this is starting to get lighter and lighter. Now, the photograph will give you one color, the painting will be another color. It really doesn't matter. Again, it's totally irrelevant. It always is, as far as the color that you use, as long as you come in there and you get your values right. Okay? So what we want to do now, let's just enlarge the screen. I'm not going to do any more than this. I think you can see how towards the end of the picture it starts getting lighter and lighter. And so that's all we're going to really do on this part right here. Now, this is a section where we want to go in and possibly get a little bit more, get some fresh water, because when I do the water next, before I leave this though, let me again mention to you that I want to do the area under here. Then I want to come up this side. This is all relatively light, as you can see on your photograph. Then I want to come do the area on this side. It starts getting a little taller, and then in fact this may not show up too good on the screen, but you want to start following a pattern, something like this, you see. And now next thing I want to do is going to be the water under here, and so I'm going to pause for just a moment and get some fresh water talking off. But okay, now first thing, we're going to go to the second section. This part right here should be finished all the way over. And the second section is going to consist of the water. And you notice I always start and stop at places that I can end it with the place where I can stop it, where I can do the wet part of it, then I continue it on a little bit further after that. Now, if you'll notice in this situation, I actually put more blue and red at the bottom, even though I have plenty of pigment. After you put a little bit of green in those colors, it's going to really not work very well when you add, if you have just a tad of any other color in the blue and the red, it'll gray it. So we want the real pretty color coming through. So we're going to just come in like this, and we're going to put a lighter color right across here. And if you look at your picture, you'll see, I don't know if we can see it on here or not, yes. You'll see that as this color comes down, now see, that's just very pure blue and red, a little bit more blue. But then I'll start giving some little ripples in the water. Now this is just a late evening on the bayou. You're getting some late evening cast shadows. And I remember there was a gentleman, when I used to teach art lessons at the Episcopal Church in Plaquemine. It was back 35 years ago almost, when Dr. Duran donated a large sum of money to the library and said that anybody in Plaquemine, Louisiana that wants to take art could go see Glenna Lusk, get a check, and call me and start taking art. And that's what happened. And it was a lot of fun. Met a lot of great friends. And now notice blue and red, but just a little bit darker. And one of them, Mr. Blanchard, came in and he just told me, he said, "Mr. Lowry," he said, "I tell you what," he said, "man, I know you know how to paint, but he said, you don't know nothing about the bayous." I said, "What do you mean by that, Mr. Blanchard?" He says, "Well," he says, "I can tell you one thing. I've been on these bayous my entire life, and I ain't never seen a purple bayou." Well, I didn't argue with him, but I know enough about reflections to know that if you are in a situation where and see, we want to keep that blue nice and crisp and clean and pretty. You're in a situation, depending on how the sunlight hits and what kind of day you have, it can reflect any color. And so, but it was a good lesson to remember. Now, the way I do this at the bottom, once I stop this, I don't want to lose that line. I want to take some of that blue and red, and I want all of this to run together. Again, I didn't need to do all this over here to show you this, okay? And because late in the evening, when the sunset's probably beyond the trees and all that, it's going to start getting darker and darker as time goes by. So that's our second demo. Now, what you want to do when you finish is just take this and just go all the way across, okay? And again, here's another one of those situations where, well, I'm not going to do any over here. That's just not necessary. You want to do this here to here, then you want to do it all up under here, down to the building that you can see right here. Okay, and I think that's sufficient for you to know how to do this. And It should be giving you a strong enough dark with this, and as it dries, if it doesn't dry as dark as you want it to, always go back in with a little bit more dark, see? And it'll come out a little bit stronger. Okay, that concludes the second portion of our demo. I'm going to go to our next section, and that's where we're going to look at this little triangular shape right here. Okay, and what we want to do is we would like to just review just this section, and then maybe a little bit of it down here, but primarily just this section right here, because this is the first time we're introducing this raw sienna. And what we want to do is take it down to the bottom of the boat like this, and we're just going to purposely do just the one section so that we can keep working the whole thing while it's wet, you see. So let's do it. Now this is where I've got misket pretty strongly again, so we're going to come all the way across here just using raw sienna. And then we'll come up at the top, leave a little bit of that white area in there. Okay. So we're going to bring it across like this. Okay, now that's still pretty wet, so we're going to take a little bit of the Hooker's green and the raw sienna, and we want to come in now, get the colors mixed pretty strongly, and we just want to put our middle tones in now. So we're going to take our green and our raw sienna, and we're just going to hit this and create this grass effect. Now the beauty of doing this while it's wet is you get all the, it doesn't look like it's stuck on and pasted on there. Okay, so we're going to come up like this and across. Okay, now that's done. Let's put a little bit of it down here. This is our middle tone. Now remember, we're not thinking color. Your colors, you're using 3 colors now, 2 colors really. So that means you're going to always be 50% right no matter what you do. And that's important to understand that, see, because now we'll come up like this, lift that little lighter area right there. Now, while it's still wet, we're going to come back down. We're going to do our last section. Now this is where, if necessary, you can use a little bit of burnt umber. Okay, and sometimes this doesn't give you quite the density in the dark that you'd like to have. So if you need to, you can go ahead and do the burnt umber. So we'll put that out also. And it's, remember now, this is still moist, so we're going to take the burnt umber and the blue, and this is going to give us a little stronger dark. Okay, and then we're going to take a little bit of the red and a little bit of the green. Sometimes you need this extra color because you don't know which colors you're using, and this way it guarantees it'll get you dark enough. Now I'm going to start at the bottom right up against this, and I think you can see pretty much how let's get it over this here a little bit more. I think you can see pretty much I went up against the boat. And notice how when it's not dry like that, it just comes out halfway wet. We're going to come across like this. You see, and all I'm doing here, I'm creating a little backdrop so that when I do my light grass here, it's going to stand out. And then lastly, now this is drying a little bit, see, but so what? I don't mind it drying because now it's part dry, part wet, and it's just going to give you a nice little, I really like putting that red in there kind of heavily. Let's see if we can put a little more red in there. And then see it's get a little wetter down here, so it's going to start blending better. And then we're going to come back in like this. Did you? Okay, now that's actually the third section that we wanted to get done, okay? And you can look at your picture and see how that operates. And I might say that while we're doing this section, well, I'll just wait until we do the next one, and then I'll pull that one up. So let's stop now, and let's just do this. No, let me just refresh your memory on it. I'm going to do a simple 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'm going to take the plain raw sienna. See, and we're going to put this on here lightly. Now leave a little bit of the light coming through at the bottom. Bring that right up against here. Sometimes, and just kind of leave it loosely. Now, I'm going to come back in with the green and the raw sienna again. And then this time I might even just for the fun of it, put a little red in there. And I'm going to come down, and I'm just going to create a lot of middle tones. Okay, this picture was painted from a little scene down at Watercolor, Louisiana. And again, it looks good, partly wet, partly dry. And then after I get all of it done like this, I'll come back in. Then I'll take my darkest part again. Now notice I'm coming up high enough to put some of these darks in, but notice I left the lights down here. That's very, very crucial to remember that. And I just actually, when you have a little section like this and you come around the corner and continue it down, the darks that I'm putting in there right now, that's called connectivity. So let's get the blue and the red, a little bit of brown, a little bit of green. And so I've got it right here, and I'll just kind of continue it along the base. I'm not going up on the boat with it. Just bring it up like this, you see. Now while it's drying and you're into some of these bigger areas like this, you can actually come in, take this and do a little bit of your, just take a little bit of your red maybe with your raw sienna, and you can put some pretty colors in, not have it. And I say that I love doing stuff like that. Now while this is drying, I want to keep this pretty light, but I'll still put a little bit of color in it just to break that down. Now, do that first part, then I would start here, and you notice I'll come out to here, and then I would stop. And then I would add another section, and I'd do a third, and then I would stop, and I'd do another third. Why? So I wouldn't allow it to dry on me. Okay, this is another good stopping point. Let's go ahead and just do this part right here. Okay, now I'm going to presume that we're now at a point, all the foliage is done up here, all the water should be done, all of that greenery, all of the greenery down here should be completed. So step 1, step 2, step 3, and then step 4 is to finish that all the way across. And that's where you should be at. Now, the next step, we're going to go up to the boat. Now, first thing we want to do is we want to take a little bit of the red with the raw sienna. We want to make a very, very thin, mostly red wash. And if you keep it on the first stage, you're going to keep it very, very light. There's your daddy. There's your mama, hon. Are you there? Okay, now we're coming up to our section on our boat, and this is where we're going to have just kind of a raw sienna and a little bit of red in it, enough to where it has and remember, this is going to dry much lighter. And then as I get back here, I kind of covered everything up here with it. But on this top section, I want it to be a little bit more brilliant. So notice I'm just coming all the way back and covering up one whole section here. So I'm covering up the entire boat like this. Then I'm going to come on the side of it, and I'm going to do the same thing. You see, so this is going to be the raw sienna, and a little bit of the red color. And it is, as I mentioned, going to dry very lightly compared to what it is now. We'll join all this together. Try not to run too much into the green. Now the biscuit is protecting the top of your boat, see? So we're just going to have this go in like this all the way back. Now we're going to let this dry, and then a lot of this after this is just common sense, okay? You just remember now, what you're always going to look at, I did the lightest color all over, and then I'm going to do a little section with the middle tone color, and then I'm going to do the dark color. And whereas you're worried about the right color being perfect, I'm going to stress over and over and over again that color never really matters. What really matters is your lights, your middle tones, and your darks. Okay, so we're just going to grab this blow dryer. We were going to grab that blow dryer. There we go. Came unplugged. And I'm going to just dry this real quickly. Again, as I mentioned, I'm going to do one little small section of the boat, because as I said, it certainly is not necessary to do every bit of it. So let's just leave it here, and I think this is dry enough. Now, this is really very simple to do. Okay, I'm taking my number 8 brush. If you feel more comfortable with the number 4, that's great. And I just want to take my blue and my red now. I'll get the red, then the blue, and I'm going to take a lighter tone. Now let's see if maybe I can come out a little closer here for you. Okay, I'm going to take a lighter tone now, and I want you to notice that there's a shadow here and a cast shadow here. And we're going to leave the top of it light. I think I kind of covered that up accidentally. All right, then we're going to have this color here, and then a little cast shadow. Then we're going to have this tone right here, and a cast shadow again. And then we're going to have a cast shadow here, coming back quite far, and continue this shadow over a little bit like this. You see, and we'll do this. And we'll do all of this with the cast shadow. That's our second value. Now, do you notice how I always like to do one area and completely finish it? And while I'm doing this, I'm also going to go inside of this, do this and this, and I'll leave a little light area here, and we'll put the first tone inside of that area. Okay. Now, you get what you're doing when you do this is you're thinking light, middle tone, and dark. You see. Now, while this is drying, I noticed that on my picture I came back in where this was. I might have antiqued it a little bit with a little bit more of the red in the raw sienna. You see, it gives it a little bit more interest in that old wood. Plus, it also enables the this reinforcing structure there to stand up. Now we'll come back again, and I'm going to dry all this. Now, one of the nice things that you could say about this particular painting, now this is a situation where you might want to drop down to a number 4. Now I wouldn't. On the size painting that you're doing, and this is where I just want to take the blue and the red and really get it pretty strong. Let's take this and the blue, because I'm really wanting something almost borderline black, see? And we're just going to come in and we're going to darken just that one side of the structure. just this side right here, you see, and that separates it and gives you just enough of an area for your shadow to be cast and come out. Then we're going to come here and we're going to start like this, and we're going to come over here and down. Now again, we're using some pretty strong color with the blue and the red and bring it across like this. And we might want to bring it across, and then if you so desire, sort of fade it a little bit down here. Allow some of that lighter color to come through. See how simple? That's just the story of everything in this particular thing that you're doing. You do your light, you do your middle tone, then you do your dark. Now watch how, when I come back in here, I'm going to put my really, really strong dark like this. That's going to make those edges stand out. And again, you just proceed all the way back to the end of the boat with that. Okay, let's stop at this point now and let you do the inside of that boat, okay? We're going to come into the downside of the boat. Now remember how we started with those lighter blue and red colors for the middle tone. Okay, so we have our lighter tone here, and we're going to take a little bit of the red, a little bit of the blue. And that should give us what we want. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to, now these cast shadows, it was late in the evening, they were cast like this. So I'm going to come in and now they're going to be a little gray now, depending on how much color I have and what colors I have in it and all that. It doesn't bother me because I'm going to do them very lightly. You see, so we'll come all the way down like this and come along the top of the boat like this maybe, and bring them down a little bit more like this. You see, and again, I'm just simulating that grass effect going across here, and I don't really need a lot of this right now because we're going to have some darker shadows on top of this. It just creates a little bit more interest. So let's come in and we'll do this right here. Right now, after I put that second coat in, remember this is, put your light coat here, then your second coat, then I'm going to take, again, now this is not going to be quite as dark, but I'm going to take the red and the blue, okay, and I might even put a little raw sienna in it. And I'm going to hit it again, sometimes maybe while it's even wet. And I'm going to put some of my colors in, just a tiny bit darker. Now, I want to go back to just the blue and the red on this, okay? Because I think the color had a lot more mauve look to it. But it doesn't matter. You know, again, if you get those values right, that's all that matters. So we're going to come in, and let's start putting the darks. Now, we don't want this to be quite this dark. So I took a little bit of this up. And we'll just bring it on down. Okay. Now it looks a little bit funny right now. I'll probably have to still tone it down a little bit afterwards. But I'm going to let it dry for just a second. And while I'm letting that other part dry, I want to make sure I pick up the front of the vessel. Or the pirogue really is what it is. So we're going to do this. And then, did that with a number 4 brush. So you can use either the number 4 or another brush. Now I want to take some of these darker colors, not necessarily grass colors, it doesn't matter. I just want to start running all of this together. And I can use some of my darker green colors coming up like this if I want to. See, and create a little bit of the grass effect. But I want that all to be settled down at the base. Okay, now I'm going to take a little bit of the burnt umber. Remember, we got a little burnt umber out just to add it with it, mix some ultramarine blue with it. I'm going to come down like this, and then we're going to start dragging this across and putting our boards in. Now these are very important. We're covering a lot of space here. See, I'll do some of it while it's wet. I think that's very interesting to watch it dry differently. So we're going to do this. And this. And lastly, we're going to do the last line down there. Now, along with that, we had some of the kind of peckerwood looking holes, the way they say it in North Louisiana. I don't know why they don't call them woodpecker holes, but anyhow. Now, this is a little stronger than it needs to be, but along with that, if I feel like some of the side of the boat is a little bit on the strong side, I'm going to come back like this, and I'm just going to take a little dry brush. So man, I don't want to do a lot of it, but you get that brush broken up a little bit, and you can just add a little more texture all the way back, but mostly create this effect where you're leaving the you're really leaving enough light, but you're also putting enough darks in to really give it the effect that you want. Now, last of all, I notice at the top of this, you still have some, now let it dry a little bit, you have some pretty strong dark areas on certain areas to break this up a little bit more. So that's what we're going to do, and I might have covered it up a little bit too much, but anyhow, you understand from this what to do all the way back. That'll be a good stopping point for us tonight, okay? For right now, I should say, because this is going to be for someone that is going to be doing it, and I wanted to start using the video tonight. So now you should have this done when you finish all the boat, and for all practical purposes, this whole section except for the water here and the building. That should be the last section, and the sky. A lot of fun, and I hope this is going to be helpful to you tonight as you do this. We'll go ahead and stop now.